Yes, it's dusk. Springtime is here. And so I've been focusing on electromagnetism, physics, energy, conductors, insulators, merging in biochemistry and industrial usage of electricity and insulation, and then weaving in the healing energy world to show there's a lot of hypocrisy or misinformation regarding how to heal the body with energy. Now, energy is no different than electricity. It can either be created or destroyed, only converted. And so I saw a meme today that said, you never die, you just get converted because you're energy. Yes, the flesh, if the flesh is not covalently bonded, you may have all the memories, you may have all the different things that the spirit that make up the person, but the flesh is what gives you purpose. Okay? So when someone justifies that it's okay to die, it's okay to let your flesh suit go, you're justifying that you don't really know how to align your body, mind, and spirit. And the only way that you can justify death is by saying that everything is energy. Well, yeah, duh, everything is energy. Of course, everything is energy. Everything's electricity. And so this is when I have been kind of capping on the EMF warrior world, because people with predispositions and imbalances in their bioelectrical system, when they're trying to insulate their body from all the action potential that's in the grid, that's near electrical cell towers or whatever, and they're trying to turn to something like shungite, or they're trying to turn to organite, and I'm just like, then I look up what they're like, what the description or the intent behind organite and the intent behind these specific healing energies. And they're like, oh yeah, it converts negative energy into positive energy. Well, negative energy and positive energy are relative to the balance or imbalance of your system. So what could be negative to you could be positive to somebody else, and what could be positive to somebody else could be negative to you. I mean, there's no way to determine universally what is like a negative, what's a positive. Yes, we know negative in its definition is something like metals that are conductors. And then there are positive ions like crystals, like salt crystals, and like sugar. Okay? I think that sugar is a positive ion. I have to go look it up. It's not really an ion, it's a covalent bond. But anyways, so that's their justification by selling things like organite, the positive energy. But what happens is that, like anything, it's all action potential. It's all creating it's creating excitement. It's creating energy. Well, not even creating, it's converting energy. It's exciting. The elements in the environment cause them to grow. Okay, so that's what they say, like cigarette smoking causes cancer, EMF waves cause cancer. Well, what is cancer? Cancer is growth. So I'm like, oh, so if cigarettes cause cancer, then cigarettes are actually good for you because they cause you to grow. But people are at such a deficit that the rest of their body is atrophying from lack of action potential. And so when they're smoking, their lungs are trying to grow, because that's what's getting a lot of the minerals, and that's what's getting a lot of the action potential. Because when you're smoking, you're inhaling and you're causing, a lot of energy and activity in your lungs because of the inhale and exhale. But you're not, but your body, the rest of your body is kind of like atrophying because you've been told to stay away from salt. You've been told to kind of stay away from sugar, but you're not really, you're actually more drawn to sugar than not. And so you have the rest of your body just not really being activated correctly. And so the only thing that's being activated is your lungs. So when somebody gets lung cancer, it's because the rest of their body is atrophying and their lungs are the only things that are getting some kind of activity. And so, yes, people get lung cancer if they're smoking. Not everybody. Why is it that there's these old sages that smoked for years and years and years and they die at 100 and they've been smoking pipes and smoking, things their whole life? Well, why didn't they get cancer? Because they were able to somewhat distribute the growth evenly without their body. And so that tying cigarettes to cancer means that they are at a deficit. They've been at a deficit. So smoking, it doesn't cause cancer. It's the fact that really the rest of the body isn't getting the action potential. And so their lungs are getting the action potential. So this is where it becomes like, the whole thing with what's equal, and like the equal sign, and then how each side isn't aligned. Okay, like, 5 equals 2. Well, that's not true. How do you make 5 equal 2? Well, you have to do all these different things, and 5 doesn't really equal 2. There's some other number that's what's for X or something, right? There's a whole, algebraic type of formula to understand how to make everything equal. And so all the demonization of the elements, and now I'm finally pinpointing the most demonized element that is so pervasive, and that is EMF and electricity. And so the rabbit holes of the energy healing world, the rabbit holes of the conspiracy world, which has some element of truth, they have found every way possible to demonize every single element under the sun, and also demonize the sun too. And so it's quite interesting now that I'm looking at the physics of electricity and action potential and piezoelectricity, and how the human body works, bioelectricity, and then our world where we're being constantly gaslighted by our friends and family. And when you're constantly being gaslighted by your friends and family, they're trying to get you to react so that way they can manipulate your reactions and get you to do what they want you to do, even if it's probably something that you don't want to do, but they found a way to twist your beliefs, or twist your words, or twist your whatever. So it's quite interesting, the triggers in our environment, and that is our friends and family. And so not reacting is probably one of the best ways to get your autonomy in this world, is when you're not looking for a reaction from anybody. Now, it's great to get it because you need the energy, but what are you converting? Why are you, involved in this energy, and what are you getting out of it? And so, yeah, I mean, just watch, I watched today The Pursuit of Happiness, and it reminded me of when I was, a salesperson, where I was cold calling everybody and everything, always constantly triggering people to react so I can sell them insurance. And yeah, I played that game of how many X amount of calls to how many X amount of appointments to how many X amount of actual sales and all that. There's formulas to that. And that's the same thing that goes on out there in the politics, religion, and science, where how many people they can get to react. Okay? And so I'm finding myself very, 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 very energetic lately. After just having a period after 2 weeks because of a new variant in the environment, it shot me up another level of evolution, and I actually feel the energy. And then, of course, having that weird mandala effect today when I went to go get some groceries with my husband, just seeing that what I thought was a construction zone on a second-story house, where it was only the window with the siding that was built in, but the rest of the walls and the roof were just frame. And I'm thinking, that's going to be a metal roof, and I could see right through it. It was just the weirdest thing. I could see right through it. And so I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I don't remember even hearing any construction, and here this thing is that I know that's in our neighborhood, this house is in our neighborhood. And the only thing that I saw was that portion of the window, and then everything else was just I could see right through it. And then I come back, take my dog out, and that whole second floor was filled in with metal roof, and also the walls were filled in. And it couldn't have happened in 2 hours. So there's some trippy stuff going on in my world. I've been having really crazy dreams too. Like I actually can taste gummy bears. Like we have no gummy bears in this house. I don't buy candy. I actually really don't buy candy. But I had a dream. I had some pretty interesting dreams. But what the one that I really remember the most where I could taste it was the gummy bears. I was eating gummy bears in my sleep. So I'm feeling a lot of electricity, a lot of activity, and that actually is going to increase your evolution or increase your de-evolution, one of the two. It depends on which side of the spectrum you reside on. And so, yes, everything is electric, everything is energy. It's all thermodynamics. And, you know, like I saw a meme that talked about, what is it, the cowpox or something, or smallpox or cowpox or something, like the first vaccine. And there was like the first, you know, thing of cancer. And guess what? Cancer is growth. So the vaccines actually cause growth. They do save lives if the body can handle that action potential. See, what happens is the vaccines way a long time ago, they were able to actually give more life to people who ordinarily would not be living because they didn't have what it takes to actually survive in this environment. And so what biotech did was take specific antibodies that are growth antibodies, and they put them inside of a vaccine in a stable environment attached to a host that is, yes, in your environment, such as an egg protein, such as different proteins in the environment, whatever it is that they bought from somebody else, like a vendor, and they go and they target specific systems. So that's where you get all the diversity from, is the fact that, yes, the vaccinations have caused so much innovation. But what happens is after 5 generations of being innovated, then what happens is that the compound predispositions from that innovation, because of the different allergies associated with the ingredients in the vaccines that cause a person to be allergic to their environment, have then culminated into then, yes, cancer, because then people are using antibiotics to suppress evolution. And then the vaccines are increasing evolution, and so the body's at war with itself. And so, yes, you have half the body that's atrophying, the other half of the body is trying to grow, and the body doesn't really know what to do anymore because it's being manipulated on a constant basis. And so now that's why we're in a reset. Okay? So vaccines aren't bad in of itself. It's the fact that we're trying to innovate a society that isn't really strong enough to be innovative. Like we have been biomanipulated so much that now walls are built up where people are impenetrable of new information, impenetrable of any kind of any more innovation than they've already had done to them for the last, 100, 200 years. Ever since ever since biotechnology really was practiced, ever since the first vaccine. Okay? And so, but the reason why the vaccines were around was, yes, it was nation building. When you create a nation full of people, like America, the greatest experiment, you have a nation full of people who've been biomanipulated and then programmed a specific way to then fulfill specific jobs, to fulfill specific requirements to advance a society. Yes, that's why we have been a first world. And so now we're finding out that we've been innovated pretty much like we've used up the resources. And so anyways, and so yes, the increase in electricity, I'm turning the light on, sorry. So yeah, so the increase in electricity and everything is actually accelerating your belief system. So if you believe people should die, and you're already using your pills, your powders, your supplements, your detoxes, all of your antibiotics, anti-vax, anti-parasites, anti-fungals, you already have all your little crystals everywhere, and you think that you should pass away and you're not feeling your evolution, then yes, the aging process is going to be increased, which means that time is really going to shift. Time is going to speed up for a lot of different people. Even though, yes, the days are the same for the most part, we still have daylight savings. We still have 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week and 52 weeks in a year. But people are going to find themselves really either accelerating their decline or accelerating their evolution. So if you're doing the Jilly Juice and you're dealing with your predispositions and all of your evolution, you are going to be very, very highly evolved. And yes, you will feel the electricity, but it's going to work to your benefit. Okay? Now, you can't help that there are others out there that don't know about this. You can say that biotech has caused crimes against humanity, but not really, because they actually have saved lives. Okay? You know, when somebody has atrophied in their growth process and they're in a very highly aggressive environment that's full of electricity, and they were born into this and they really have a very slow functioning body, a vaccine gives them a shot of innovation. It gives them a chance. Now, yes, they might acquire predisposition. However, they're alive. And now they have the ability to now take their body to whatever, they believe in. But people were not privy to the information of Jilly Juice, and then understanding the ionic and covalent bonding, and understanding pain is actually evolution. And so people are being biomanipulated for a very short amount of time, and maybe they become famous, or maybe they fulfill some kind of requirement in society, and they're honored amongst their peers, and they die happy knowing that they've contributed, or left a legacy behind for their children. And so, yeah, there's going to be a chapter there is a chapter called that I have in my book. We Are Electric, or Everything is Electric. And I'm going to mention the whole EMF warrior people who are trying to shut down electricity. That you can't get away from electricity, people. It's the freaking universe. Electromagnetism is the freaking sun. It's everywhere. If you cannot adapt to electricity, then you might as well there's nowhere to go. That's what's so laughable. People are trying to, even if you get those epoxy, pure epoxy, and line your house and adorn something, they're really pretty. They're all colorful. Okay, they might lessen a little bit, but then here's the thing. You're doing Jilly Juice anyways. That's going to increase your action potential. Why not just, be able to galvanize and harness the energy in your world and do Jilly Juice, feel the pain and heal. Get the fermentation, get the good gut bacteria, get the fermented, cabbage and kale. More electricity in the sodium, yes, in the drink. Eat food. I've been eating so much lately. It's crazy. Okay? Even my husband said he was really ravenously hungry the other day. Well, yeah. He's probably feeling the energy too. And then you're going to increase your productivity. And you'll be able to handle the higher grid. Because the next generation is coming, and 6G is coming in 2030. We're in 2021 right now. We're going to see the zombie apocalypse, because yes, energy does energize. The electricity does energize the imbalances in people as well as the balance in people. And so I know what's coming down the road. Right now, Ohio's saying, oh yeah, we've lowered the numbers. We're at the lowest we've ever been since da-da-da-da. And so they're getting everyone prepared to go and mill around and hang out with people and go to the bars and go to their outside venues and go to the malls and be all that. And people are going to be glitching like crazy. It's going to be like the Matrix, Mr. Anderson, all over the place, glitching like crazy. And then, yes, the storms, hurricanes, tornadoes. I mean, I hate to be a doomsayer, but I'm just trying to give you guys a warning what to expect. Okay? And electricity will excite and energize every single belief system out there and increase the action potential. So if someone has a latent, issue with one person, then when they get together with that person and before they're able to kind of harness that and keep it under wraps, but when they see that same person again in the same room, that trigger is going to go off. That's why be very careful who you hang out with, especially around people that you don't know or someone that you might have an issue with, because you just do not know now what the electricity is. Now, I know I sound like I'm paranoid, but I'm telling you, well, here's the thing. I've been in the insurance world. I understand liability. Okay. And then I understand, indicators. I've been studying indicators for the last 5 freaking years. Okay? And I understand what our government is doing. When you have 300 million people in America, and most, if not all of them, are glitching like mad. What do you think Trump did to gaslight people to go to the Capitol? That was a controlled action potential. Do you know that crowd action, that electricity then causes people to get out of control? That's the thing with the whole First Amendment. The First Amendment is purposely trying to get people to gaslight themselves so they can figure out, who are we working with here? Okay, so when you're going out there being an activist, now you're being energized and pumped by a crowd that's reinforcing your belief systems and reinforcing. That's what these groups do on Facebook. They purposely gaslight each other, and then they entrench these beliefs in each other. And so no one's looking at the other side. No one's looking at the other point of view, because everyone is just extremely, extremely one-sided, and the energy has just switched them to be now impenetrable. And so that's why I've extricated myself from the conspiracy world. I've extricated myself from the politics. I've extricated myself from all of those highly gaslighted groups that serve to just hammer in the party line on a 24/7 basis, to where that's the only thing that you live and breathe is your party line. But when that happens, is then you're never ever going to become objective, ever. When you surround yourself with people who are hammering in the party line to you 24/7, and that's why we have so much intolerance, because people are in their cliques, whether it's a family clique, whether it's a culture clique, whether it's a political clique, and that clique gaslights each other, and they reinforce each other's belief systems. And so then when a new person or a new idea comes into their realm, they have such an intolerance that there's no way to unite anyone, because of what the initial intentions were, is to be like a breakfast club. Everyone is divided and conquered and then exploited for their resources. So really, when you think about it, we've been data mined. Our body, minds, and spirits have been data mined by those that are needing to figure out how to create a utopian society. You've been exploited. Your daughters and your sons have been exploited. I've been exploited. You exploit each other. Okay? Because every single time that you reinforce a belief system that serves to still consume without replenishing, it's still the same party line. How much can we consume until there's nothing left? And so what's the answer? The answer is just do what you got to do. Reinforce your body, mind, and spirit. Stay alive. Stay balanced. And be careful who it is you hang out with. Do not pretend that our society is still the same, because it's not. It's fun to, yeah, believe me, I like to go out for ice cream here and there, but I stay pretty much close to home right now, because I know how unpredictable our society is. And so I'm not saying don't live, but remember, it's not the same. We don't live in the same world. We have new variants of viruses out there. People have been vaccinated. They're under other different types of therapeutics. And people are are on the edge. Okay? And the CDC says, there's going to be storms. There's going to be more electricity when society opens up. That's a lot more electricity. Right now, everyone's kind of like insulated in their homes. Like every single one of you are like batteries. You're electric, right? Imagine when you go past a bar or a bunch of drunken, college students hanging out together. That's a recipe for disaster. And then you bring in, not even alcohol, but you bring in guns, you bring in illicit drugs, you bring in people's issues with each other. And then it becomes a freaking melee. And then the politics wound in with that. And then maybe somebody purposely causing something to cause then more reactions. You don't want to be in a crowd of people when someone purposely does something to get everybody all riled up. You don't want to be in that situation. So just be careful who it is that you're interacting with. Be careful where you go. Understand that large crowds right now are going to not be your friend. Not just because of the virus, just because of the activity, the electricity. And that's going to energize people's issues that are on the edge already. Okay, here's my doggy. She's right here. I know, I see you. She's her little bump up here. She's a little pustule that just, I'm sure she's not enjoying it, but she's doing okay. She's good. I hear you, sugar. So anyways, I'm going to go do my laundry. I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to keep writing tomorrow. Just doing my thing. But you guys, understand, electricity, there's no dirty electricity. The only dirty electricity is your poop. What John say, shit shocked? All right, bye everybody.